Hi, I'm Nick Covey, and this is the first episode of Local. Today we are here with Jeremy Hilliard, Spanish teacher at Easton High School. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for letting me be here.
All right, so today we're talking to Jeremy about his involvement in the Pulsera project. Can you tell us a little bit about the Pulsera project and what it is?
Yeah, sure. So the Pulsera Project is a nonprofit organization. It works with cooperatives of weavers, mostly in Nicaragua, but some in Guatemala. And they make handmade pulseras, which is actually the Spanish word for bracelet. And I'm wearing my pulsera right here.
Yeah.
So these cooperatives of weavers are paid a fair trade wage to make and sell their bracelets.
Okay.
So part of how that helps the community is in Nicaragua, the average factory worker just gets paid minimum wage, but this Pulsera project allows the workers to have more flexible schedules because they can work from home as a weaver, and they can get a fair trade wage and support their family. So money that gets raised from selling the pulseras, each pulsera is sold for $5 and about 50% of that, $5, goes directly back to the worker. And then the rest of the money gets invested in community programs, which can provide things like housing, scholarships for education, or health care for Nicaraguan families. Yeah.
All right, well, this sounds like a great program over there and really helping them out. Could you tell me about the poverty over there and the people and their environment and kind of what this project is helping them stay away from?
Yeah, sure. So one of the communities, I've actually visited Nicaragua. One of the communities I visited there in the summer of 2016 was around the Matagalpa, Chichigalpa area.
Okay.
And it was a community way back in the jungle. And what they said was, a year ago, had you been here, there wouldn't have been houses.
Really?
It was just, kind of sheet metal, leaned up, and very kind of, not really houses, nothing with a foundation, nothing with concrete, anything like that. But because of the Pulsera project, that community was able to get housing money to build, very basic, simple, concrete foundation, concrete floor houses, but then they had a place to live. I was able to visit Nicaragua and get a firsthand social enterprise look at really how the Pulsera project directly affects the lives of these families. So it's kind of cool to see when you see the poverty firsthand, it really kind of hits you.
It does.
Yeah. You really learn to not take things for granted.
Do you have any stories of people that you might have met while you're over there that were currently making bracelets or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually became friends with one of the weavers who was a younger guy named Marcelino. A cool part about the trip was we got to take all the weavers from the one community to the beach for the day, and I kind of hung out with him and got to know him. And what was cool about Marcelino is he said that he was really interested in architectural design and drafting, and he let me know that the Pulsera project funded a scholarship for him to go to college to hit that degree in like architectural drafting and design. So
really?
this living in poverty, 20-year-old guy is going to get to go to college. And I think another thing that surprised me is I think a lot of people think that living in poverty means that you're sad or that you look down upon them, but that whole looking down upon people in poverty is really kind of an American viewpoint. Is that in Nicaragua, where poverty is pretty common, everybody's in poverty, and not everybody, but a lot of people are in poverty, and they just kind of accept it, and nobody feels inferior to anybody else. There's not that, oh, they have this and I don't have it, so I'm not worth it, I'm not as good, or I'm not as hard of a worker. It's just they're just happy, very welcoming people.
That's great.
And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's crazy how your stories completely changed my view on Nicaragua.
Right.
And you're just one person, one supporter of the Pulsera project.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of more supporters too.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we get in touch with the Pulsera project? How can people contact and be a part of the Pulsera project?
Okay, so if you're interested in getting involved in the Pulsera project, you can go to their website, which is www.pulseraproject.org, or email them at pulseraproject@gmail.com. And any community organization, it can be a church group or just a group of friends or a school, can host a Pulsera sale. Or, and even if you're not interested in a sale, if you're interested in just purchasing a Pulsera, they have that option on there as well on the website for $5. So the website has a lot of resources to learn about their causes and the artists that they work with. So it's a great site to visit if you're interested in learning or participating in or about the Pulsera project.
Well, thank you for all the info on the Pulsera project.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Programming on Channel 15 is brought to you in part by the Avalon Foundation and Avalon Theater, a leading catalyst for the arts, education, and culture for Talbot County and the Mid-Shore. The Avalon Foundation. Leadership, a beautiful venue, and a variety of programming provide a special quality of life on the Mid-Shore.
All right, so we're here with another interesting and well-traveled teacher at Easton High School, Matthew Stroka. Thanks for coming on with us.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
So, Mr. Stroka, you went to Tanzania as an English teacher to teach
Yes.
abroad. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Sure. So I've been 3 times, right? So I went once right after college for 6 months. Then I came home, got married, kind of wanted my wife to have that same experience of living in Tanzania.
Right.
And so we went back together for a year. And then just this past summer, I went again to teach, every time to teach full time at a small village school there in Tanzania, a very rural, poor area where there wasn't any schools. And so I work with an organization called Village Schools International, which builds schools in these villages. And I go and teach in these schools. And a lot of kids, I mean, the ages range from, we'll have kids 14, right, who should be freshmen in high school, all the way up to, I had some students who were in their 40s because they never had a chance to go to school. And here was a brand new school in their village, so for the first time ever, they had a chance to go to school. I also have kids who walk 2 hours just to get to this school for a chance, because they realize, right, this is their one chance to be something other than a farmer. And so
Right.
once that school's there, kids will come from far just for a chance at options, right? So they don't have to be a farmer. And so yeah, I've taught there a total of about 2 years, and it's been a great experience.
So your kids, young and old,
Yep.
far and near,
Yeah.
all coming to you
Yeah.
for their education. Do you have any experiences with kids personally, or any stories you might know?
Sure.
Um,
There was a kid, Isaac, who I taught as a freshman in high school, right? You could tell he was a good student. But then after you leave, because you're just there for a year, so you teach him when he's a freshman, then you leave and you're like, what's going to happen to this
Yeah,
kid?
where is he?
Yeah, is he gonna stick with it? Is he gonna leave? Well, when I went back this past summer, so after like 5 years since I originally went there, I went back there, and this time I didn't teach at a high school. I went and taught at a teacher's college.
Oh, really?
And so I went to this teacher's college.
The reunion.
And who strolls up but this kid Isaac, who I taught, and this is a different village, but he found his way to this teacher college 5 years later, doing extremely well and very, very successful. And even now we're able to keep in touch via email and things
Really?
like that. Yeah, so it's really cool to see kids really stick with it and see a program that really works. And now he's training to be a teacher so he can
Pass
teach
it
more
on.
kids, yeah, and kind of pass it on.
You see him go from the pupil to the learning to be a teacher.
Yeah, and so hopefully next time I go back, maybe he'll be teaching at a
Right.
school down there. So it's great how that works.
Can you tell me about the village itself in Tanzania?
Yeah.
And what are the conditions like over there?
So I lived in a traditional house that another Tanzanian would live
Yeah,
in.
you weren't in a hotel. You
No.
were just like all of them.
Just
equal.
yeah, equal.
That's
The same food they ate, ugali and beans, I ate that every day, right? Rice and beans, I ate every
Rice
day.
and beans.
So I didn't have a car. I would walk to school. Eventually, I got a bike, and then I rode my bike to school. But the living conditions were the same as everybody else. As a teacher, I made what the other Tanzanian teachers made. So I didn't make any more money. I made the same salary as the other Tanzanian teachers. So very much like
A lot of generosity.
Yeah,
to be
become
there.
part of the community. And I wouldn't have it any other way. You get really I mean, it's different there, right? Because you rely on your neighbors, you rely on one another in a deeper way. And one of the most profound, like, kind of results of this is after a year, my wife and I were there for a year. And the week before we went home, they threw us a big party. So they killed us a couple goats in our honor.
Oh,
Like, it
man.
was everyone from the community was out there. We're talking hundreds of people piled in this church.
All for you.
Yeah,
over
all to say,
here,
like, thank you for committing a year. And then
Yeah.
they put us at a table like this, right in front of this huge auditorium. And they have a bunch of speakers who come up and speak and say, we appreciate you coming and teaching and helping our kids for this year. And then one of the most remarkable things happens. The entire village, I'm talking everyone, hundreds of people,
Everyone.
line up. They make a row and they line up. And they walk up to this table where Emily and I are sitting. And they shake our hands and they put something on the table, a gift.
Really?
A lot of them put money. And we're talking like I'm this white American who obviously has more money than they do.
Yeah.
But and these are some of the poorest people in the world, and they just dropped like a quarter or 50 cents right on the table as a thank you
Right.
for serving. And some of them couldn't afford that, so literally someone brought up a box wrapped with holes punched in it. Obviously a chicken, and so they gave me a live chicken and just plopped it to
Live
say
chicken.
thank you. And other people brought like sodas and crackers, but everyone in the village, and to the end where I just on this table, you can imagine like a chicken over here, all right, some soda, biscuits, and like just a
Right.
huge pile of money to give me to say thank you. Like,
And that's how
just mind blowing, right?
That's how humanity is over there. It's
Right, where I
so
went
different.
to go give them something, and in the end, they gave me
Right.
something, and they taught me more than I ever
And
taught.
over here, you give somebody
taught them.
something, and you're lucky to get a thank you.
Right.
You know?
So it makes you, and that's why have I gone back 3 times? Well, that's why, right? Because
Yeah.
they're so appreciative, and I get so much out of the experience as well. So yeah, I get to teach them, but they also, they
Sounds like
they should
a whole
appreciate it.
nother world completely. I mean,
It is, but at the same time, as far as school goes, it's kids are kids, right?
Yeah.
So you have your Nick Coveys, you have your character types, just like you have
Yeah.
at Easton High, like the same, like kids are kids, right?
Sure.
And what do kids want? Like kids want a decent education. Parents want their kids to get a decent education. Parents want their kids to have options and to be safe and healthy and all those things that anyone wants, right? Is the same thing that Tanzanian parents want and that the Tanzanian students want.
has that whole experience changed your perspective living here?
Yeah.
As far as education goes, these kids are walking 2 hours for their education,
Yeah,
and there's kids coming here every day
yeah,
and not absorbing what's free for them
yeah.
and what's 10 minutes away from their house.
Yeah. So that's one of the things as a teacher, I always encourage my kids, like, travel.
Yeah.
Because when you travel, you get a different perspective. You realize because as human beings, we just focus on what's right in front of us.
Right.
All the time, just what's immediately in front of us. And we don't take the time to see what's going on around the world and to look at other perspectives and see the world from other people's eyes. And traveling allows you to do that.
So what would some advice be for maybe other teachers or just other people who are interested in going over there and helping in a similar way?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that makes what I did unique is it wasn't, and not knocking the 2-week trips, but it wasn't a 2-week trip, and
Yeah.
it wasn't in a hotel. It was an extended time, a year, 6 months, 2 months. It was extended time living with them, like them. I think that's a really important part, that when you go all in, right? Because if you want to see it from their perspective, if you want to gain a better view of your life and the lives of others, you can't do that from the 20th floor of a Holiday Inn, right? You got to do it from their
You gotta
eyes with them.
experience it.
Yeah, and they will embrace you for that, and they
Right.
will realize you are making an effort to become a part of this community, and you'll be more successful at doing what you're doing if they realize that you're coming in, not saying, "Hey, I'm better than you." No, I want to learn from you.
It's
I want to embrace
all
myself.
respect.
Yeah, in your culture.
You give what you get.
Absolutely, and I think so. I would advise doing that if you're interested in doing something like that.
And would you advise people to do something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big part of my life, and I would encourage both students and teachers to explore options where they can spend time in a different culture, an extended period of time in a different culture. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's an amazing story, and seems like it has really shaped who you are
Yep.
right now as a teacher. I've had you as a teacher, and I know very well that, I feel like some of these experiences have helped you be probably one of my best English teachers.
It also gives me an endless amount of great, funny stories to tell.
To
Yep,
break up
absolutely.
the tension
That's
as
right.
a first teacher.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Mr. Soka, I really appreciate you
Oh,
joining
absolutely.
us today,
My pleasure.
and we'll catch you guys next time on